The quantum particle detector wasn't supposed to be making that sound. Raven Winters frowned at the hastily assembled array of equipment cluttering her basement laboratory, watching as the readings spiked far beyond anything she'd seen in her 15 years of research. Outside, thunder crashed against the Montana mountains, but the atmospheric disturbance couldn't explain these readings. Something was wrong with the quantum field surrounding her remote home. Very wrong. Raven pushed her dark-rimmed glasses up her nose and typed frantically, trying to record the anomalous data before it disappeared. Her fingers flew across 3 keyboards simultaneously, muscle memory from countless late nights spent pursuing the impossible, proof of quantum tunneling between parallel universes. The university had called her research fringe science. They'd pulled her funding, forced her resignation. But Raven knew she was right. And now, as her instruments screamed with activity, she felt a fierce vindication. Until the power went out. In the sudden darkness, illuminated only by emergency backup lights, Raven heard something she never expected, scratching sounds coming from upstairs. Not the normal settling of her old house or wind in the eaves. This was deliberate movement. She grabbed the baseball bat she kept near her workstation, because even reclusive physicists needed protection, and crept up the basement stairs. The scratching grew louder as she approached her bedroom. With each step, the air grew colder, carrying an odd metallic tang that made her teeth ache. Raven's hand trembled as she reached for the doorknob. The rational part of her mind, the physicist who believed in mathematical certainty, screamed that she should call the police. But the part of her that had always known there was more to reality than humanity's limited understanding pushed her forward. She flung open the door and froze. Curled up on her bed was a figure that defied explanation. Humanoid, but clearly not human. Its skin had a silvery iridescence that seemed to shift and flow like liquid mercury. Where hair should be, delicate tendrils of light writhed and danced. Most striking were its eyes, all 4 of them, arranged in a diamond pattern across its face, each one swirling with colors that shouldn't exist. The being sat up slowly, movements fluid and graceful despite obvious signs of injury. Dark fluid that looked like oil but sparkled like starlight seeped from several wounds across its torso. "Please," it said, its voice like wind chimes in a digital storm. "Help me." Raven's scientific mind kicked into overdrive, analyzing, categorizing, trying to make sense of the impossible being before her. But when the creature winced in pain, human compassion overrode academic curiosity. "Don't move," she said, lowering the bat. "You're hurt." "The Void Hunters," the alien whispered, its voice growing weaker. "They followed me through the quantum breach. Your world, your people, they're all in danger." Raven's equipment readings suddenly made perfect sense. The quantum tunneling effect she detected wasn't just about parallel universes, it was about interstellar travel. Her visitor had literally torn a hole through spacetime to reach Earth. "I'm Nix," the alien said, its multiple eyes fixing on her with an intensity that made her shiver. "And I've crossed 12,000 light-years to find someone exactly like you, Raven Winters." Raven started. "How do you know my name?" "Because in every quantum reality I searched, you were the only human brilliant enough to understand what's coming. And brave enough to help stop it." Before Raven could respond, a deep thrumming filled the air. The windows rattled in their frames. Above the storm clouds, something massive was descending. "They're here," Nick said, struggling to stand. "The Void Hunters never stop. Never rest. They'll drain this world dry of all quantum potential, leaving nothing but entropy and decay." Raven looked at her life's work scattered across computers in the basement, then at the wounded alien who had literally appeared in her bed. Everything she'd theorized about quantum physics and parallel universes was true, but the reality was far more terrifying than she'd imagined. "What do you need me to do?" she asked, already knowing this decision would change her life forever. Nix's luminous tendrils pulsed with what might have been hope. "First, help me heal." Then, teach me everything you know about this world's quantum physics. Together, we might have a chance to save your planet. But Raven. The alien's 4 eyes dimmed slightly. Once you join this fight, there's no going back. The Void Hunters will never stop hunting you either. Thunder cracked overhead, but it couldn't mask the sound of heavy objects landing in the forest around her house. Raven thought of her comfortable life of solitary research, of the respect she'd lost pursuing her theories. Now those theories were bleeding on her bed, offering both validation and a chance to protect everything she loved. I stopped going back the day they called my research impossible, Raven said, helping Nyx to stand. Now, let's prove just how wrong they were. The night was young, and somewhere in the storm, ancient beings of impossible power were closing in. But for the first time since she'd lost her career, Raven Winters felt truly alive. The universe had finally revealed its secrets, and they were more wonderful and terrible than she'd ever dreamed. The basement laboratory had become a war room. Raven worked frantically at her computers while Nyx hovered nearby, the alien's luminous tendrils casting ethereal patterns across the equipment. They had barely escaped the Void Hunters' initial sweep of the area, retreating underground where the quantum interference from Raven's experiments helped mask their presence. Your understanding of quantum mechanics is unique, Nyx observed, 4 eyes tracking the equations flowing across multiple screens. The aliens' wounds had begun to heal, the starlight-flecked fluid no longer seeping from their silvery skin. You've intuited principles my people took centuries to discover. Raven's fingers paused over the keyboard. Yet your people can tear holes in spacetime. I'd say you're a few steps ahead of us. Perhaps. Nyx's tendrils rippled with what Raven was learning to recognize as amusement. But we became too rigid, too certain of our superiority. The Void Hunters evolved from that arrogance, a splinter faction that believed they could perfect the universe by harvesting quantum potential from developing worlds. A distant explosion rocked the house. Dust filtered down from the ceiling as heavy footsteps moved across the floor above. The hunters were getting closer. Speaking of harvesting, Raven muttered, we need to move. They'll find us eventually. She began downloading her research onto portable drives, refusing to leave behind the work that had cost her everything. There's an old mining complex in the mountains. The mineral deposits interfere with quantum readings, it might buy us time. Time for what? Nyx asked, helping to disconnect essential equipment. The hunters won't stop until they've located me and eliminated any humans who've made contact. You should leave, Raven. Save yourself. Not happening. Raven's voice was firm as she shouldered a bag of equipment. First, you still haven't told me why you really chose me. Second, I've spent my career being called crazy for believing in quantum possibilities. Now that I know I'm right, I'm not backing down. Before Nyx could respond, a new sound cut through the basement, the whine of government vehicles approaching. Raven rushed to a small window, her heart sinking at the sight of black SUVs with familiar logos. Department of Advanced Scientific Research, she growled. My old employers. Someone must have detected your quantum breach. She turned to Nyx, whose silvery skin had begun to shift and ripple. Can you change your appearance? Limited molecular restructuring, Nyx confirmed, their form already beginning to appear more human. The extra eyes merged into 2, the luminous tendrils transforming into long, silver-white hair. But it won't fool their quantum sensors for long. Raven felt a strange flutter in her chest watching Nyx's transformation. Even in human form, there was an otherworldly grace to the alien that made it hard to look away. She forced herself to focus on their predicament. 2 groups hunting us is better than 1, she decided, quickly formulating a plan. The government and the Void Hunters will get in each other's way. We can use that. Heavy boots thundered down the basement stairs. In one fluid motion, Nyx pulled Raven behind a bank of servers, their partially humanized body shielding her. The close contact sent tingles of energy across Raven's skin, some kind of quantum field effect, she told herself firmly. "Dr. Winters," a familiar voice called out. "This is Director Hammond. We know you're down here, and we know about your visitor. Come out peacefully, and we can discuss this like scientists." Raven felt Nyx tense against her. "You know this human?" "My former boss," Raven whispered. "The one who called my research dangerous and delusional. Guess he's changed his mind." Through gaps in the equipment, they watched as agents in tactical gear swept the laboratory. Above, the heavy footsteps of the Void Hunters grew closer, drawn by the commotion. "When they meet," Nyx murmured, "it will be chaos. The Hunters will recognize human government forces as a primitive threat, but they'll also be interested in their technology. It might give us an opening." Raven nodded, trying to ignore how natural it felt to be pressed close to this being from another world. "There's a maintenance tunnel behind my backup generator. It connects to the old mining system I mentioned. But we'll have to time this perfectly." The first Void Hunter crashed through the basement ceiling, its crystalline armor glowing with impossible colors. The DASR agent spun, raising weapons that Raven knew would be useless against such advanced technology. "Now," she hissed. As gunfire and energy weapons filled the basement with sound and fury, Raven and Nyx slipped through the narrow tunnel. Behind them, the clash of two worlds, human and hunter, provided perfect cover for their escape. They emerged from the tunnel into the cold mountain night. Stars glittered overhead, and Raven couldn't help wondering which one Nyx called home. The alien had resumed their natural form, luminous tendrils swaying in the breeze. "You're wondering why I chose you," Nyx said suddenly. "The truth is, I've watched you for some time, across multiple quantum realities. In every version where Earth survives the Hunters, you were the catalyst. Your impossible theories, your determination to push boundaries, you think like no other human I've encountered." Raven felt her face warm despite the cold. "And in the realities where Earth doesn't survive?" Nyx's four eyes dimmed. "In those timelines, you and I never met. Or worse, we did, but you chose not to trust me." The sound of vehicles and energy weapons echoed from the valley below. They needed to keep moving, but Raven had one more question. "Why do I feel like you're still not telling me everything?" Nyx's tendrils rippled with complex patterns. "Because, Raven Winters, what I have to tell you next will make you question everything you think you know about your world, your species, and your own identity. But right now, we need to focus on surviving the night." As they made their way toward the mining complex, Raven couldn't shake the feeling that she was walking into something far bigger than a simple conflict between worlds. The way Nyx looked at her, spoke to her, suggested knowledge of things that even a quantum physicist might struggle to accept. But she had always believed in impossible things. And now, running through the darkness with a being of starlight at her side, she was ready to believe in a few more. The mining complex was a maze of abandoned tunnels and rusted equipment, the perfect hiding place for a quantum physicist and her alien companion. Raven had converted an old control room into a makeshift laboratory, using the mineral deposits in the surrounding rock to mask their quantum signatures from both the Void Hunters and government forces. "Your quantum field is changing," Nyx observed, for eyes focused on readings from salvaged equipment. Their luminous tendrils moved restlessly, betraying anxiety that Raven had learned to recognize. "The more time you spend near me, the more your molecular structure aligns with quantum frequencies beyond normal human parameters." Raven looked up from her work, pushing aside calculations that still didn't quite make sense. "Is that dangerous?" "No," Nyx's silver skin rippled with complex patterns. "It's necessary. And it's why I chose you specifically, Raven. You're already different from other humans, you always have been." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with implications. Raven set down her tablet and faced the alien directly. "Tell me the truth, Nyx. All of it. Nyx's tendrils dimmed, coiling close to their body. The Void Hunters aren't just harvesters of quantum potential. They're searching for something specific, something they believe will give them control over all possible realities. They're hunting for quantum seeds. Quantum seeds? Imagine consciousness itself as a quantum phenomenon, Nyx explained, moving closer. Now imagine that certain beings, extremely rare beings, can unconsciously influence quantum fields around them. Their mere existence creates ripples in reality, generating new possibilities, new potential futures. Raven's mind raced, connecting dots she hadn't even known existed. My theories, my intuitive understanding of quantum mechanics. You're a quantum seed, Raven. One of the most powerful I've ever encountered. Nyx's 4 eyes swirled with colors that seemed to pierce straight through her. Your presence alone has been reshaping reality around you in subtle ways. Why do you think your experiments worked when everyone said they were impossible? You weren't just measuring quantum phenomena, you were unconsciously creating them. The revelation hit Raven like a physical blow. She stumbled back, catching herself against a bank of old mining computers. That's why you've been watching me across multiple realities. You're not just running from the Void Hunters. You're protecting me from them. Yes. Nyx moved to steady her, their touch sending cascades of quantum energy through Raven's increasingly sensitive awareness. But there's more. The Hunters don't just want to harvest your potential, they want to use you as a template. They believe they can replicate the quantum seed phenomenon artificially, seeding entire galaxies with controlled quantum manipulation points. They want to control evolution itself, Raven whispered, horror dawning as she understood the implications. Direct the development of every species, every civilization, toward their idea of perfection. Exactly. And Earth. Nyx hesitated, tendrils writhing with distress. Earth is particularly important because it has something unprecedented, multiple quantum seeds emerging at once. A quantum awakening that could reshape the entire universe. Before Raven could process this, alarms blared from her cobbled-together detection system. Multiple signals were approaching, both the crystalline signatures of Void Hunters and the more conventional energy readings of DASR forces. They're working together, Raven realized, watching the patterns converge. Hammond must have made some kind of deal with them. Humans. Nyx's voice carried both affection and exasperation. Always so eager to ally with powers they don't understand. They moved to the control room's ancient monitors, which Raven had repurposed to show security feeds. We need to move deeper into the complex. I can sense other quantum frequencies below, natural formations that might help us. But Raven stood her ground, mind racing through possibilities. No. We've been running, hiding, reacting. But if what you're saying is true, if I really am a quantum seed, then maybe it's time we stopped playing defense. Nyx's tendrils flared with alarm. Raven, you're still learning to understand your abilities. The Hunters have millennia of experience manipulating quantum fields. But they don't have what we have. Raven began rapidly typing commands into the mining facility's old systems. They don't have human ingenuity combined with your knowledge. And they don't have the home field advantage. Understanding dawned in all 4 of Nyx's eyes. The mineral deposits, you're not just using them to hide. This whole mountain is riddled with quantum-sensitive materials. Materials that respond to my presence, even if I didn't realize why until now. Raven's fingers flew across multiple keyboards. We can use the old mining equipment to amplify those effects. Create our own quantum storm. The sound of boots and energy weapons echoed through the tunnels. They had minutes at most. It's risky, Nyx warned, but their tendrils were already moving to assist, interfacing with the equipment in ways human technology was never designed for. If we lose control of the quantum cascade, then we'll improvise. Raven met the alien's gaze with determination. That's what humans do best, isn't it? We adapt, we overcome, we surprise you. Even you didn't expect me to accept all this so quickly, did you? Nyx's skin rippled with what might have been embarrassment. In most realities, this conversation ends with much more skepticism and denial. Well, this reality has something the others don't. Raven allowed herself a small smile despite the approaching danger. It has us, working together from the start. Now, help me turn this mountain into a quantum weapon before our unwelcome guests arrive. As they worked frantically to prepare their trap, Raven couldn't help wondering what other revelations awaited her. She was a quantum seed, whatever that truly meant. Earth itself was on the cusp of some great evolutionary leap. And standing beside her was a being of starlight and mystery who had crossed the universe to find her. The night was about to become even stranger. But for the first time since this all began, Raven felt truly ready to embrace her new reality, in all its quantum possibilities. The old mining complex trembled as Raven's quantum modifications took effect. Raw energy pulsed through long-abandoned tunnels, transforming the mountain itself into a vast quantum amplifier. At the heart of the control room, Raven's consciousness seemed to expand, touching possibilities that had always existed just beyond her perception. The quantum field is responding to your presence, Nyx observed, their silvery form shifting with barely contained energy. But the hunters will sense it too. They'll know exactly what you're attempting. Good. Raven didn't look up from her work, fingers dancing across jerry-rigged interfaces between alien technology and human mining equipment. I want them to know. I want them to feel what happens when they threaten my world. The first explosions rocked the tunnel network. Through salvaged security feeds, they watched as void hunters in crystalline armor advanced alongside DASR agents. Director Hammond himself led the human contingent, his face set with grim determination. Dr. Winters. His voice echoed through the communication system. Your alien friend has deceived you. The void hunters aren't here to harm Earth. They're offering us advancement, protection, a chance to guide our own evolution. Stand down, and you can be part of humanity's greatest leap forward. Nyx's tendrils writhed with anger. They've promised him control over Earth's quantum development. He has no idea they'll drain this world dry once they have what they want. Hammond never could resist a shortcut to progress, Raven muttered. She took a deep breath, feeling the quantum energies surge around her. Ready to show them what real progress looks like. The alien's 4 eyes swirled with deadly purpose. Always. Raven activated the first phase of their defense. Throughout the mining complex, quantum-sensitive minerals began to resonate at frequencies she could now perceive. The effect on their pursuers was immediate. Void Hunter armor systems flickered, their crystalline weapons sparking with uncontrolled energy. But the hunters were ancient and adaptable. Their forms shifted, compensating for the quantum interference. They pressed forward, methodically clearing tunnel after tunnel. They're adapting faster than expected, Nyx warned, interfacing directly with the mining systems to boost their effects. We need more power. Raven nodded, closing her eyes to focus on the quantum field surrounding them. She could feel it now, not just through instruments, but directly, as if it were an extension of her own nervous system. The mountain's mineral deposits sang to her, each crystal a note in a vast quantum symphony. The other seeds, she said suddenly, eyes snapping open. You said Earth has multiple quantum seeds awakening. Where are they? We could call for help. Nyx's skin rippled with complex patterns. Most are still dormant, unaware of their potential. But they hesitated. There is one other who's beginning to awaken. Someone close to you. Before Raven could demand clarification, the control room door exploded inward. Void hunters poured through the breach, their armor now adapted to the quantum interference. Behind them came DASR agents with weapons Raven had never seen before, hybrid technology, she realized. human engineering enhanced by hunter science. Fascinating, the lead hunter said, its voice a crystalline chorus that hurt Raven's ears. Your quantum signature is even more powerful than our scans suggested. You'll make an excellent template for our seeding program. She'll make nothing for you, Nix snarled, moving to shield Raven. Their form was shifting, becoming more angular, more weapon-like. Director Hammond stepped forward, looking older than Raven remembered but just as arrogant. Don't you see, Raven? Everything I did, discrediting your research, forcing you out, it was to protect you. To keep you hidden until the right moment. The hunters helped me understand what you are, what humanity could become. You mean what humanity could be twisted into, Raven shot back. She could feel the quantum energies building to dangerous levels, responding to her anger. You're letting them manipulate you, just like you always manipulated everyone else. The hunter leader raised a crystalline hand. Enough discussion. Take them both. The seed will be harvested, and the fugitive will face justice for contaminating multiple realities with unauthorized contact. That was when Raven felt it, another quantum signature, familiar yet different from her own. It was coming from within the DASR group. Her eyes locked onto a young agent at Hammond's side, someone she recognized from her university days. Professor? Agent Kira Lin stepped forward, looking confused. I don't, something feels wrong. My head. The other seed, Nix whispered. She's awakening. The hunter leader noticed too. Its crystalline form vibrated with excitement. 2 seeds. This changes everything. The harvest must begin immediately. But Raven was done letting others decide her fate, or the fate of her world. She reached out, not with her hands but with her expanding quantum awareness, and touched Kira's awakening power. Their energies resonated, amplifying each other through the mineral-rich mountain. Run, she shouted to her former student, even as she unleashed the full power of their combined quantum potential. Reality itself seemed to shudder. The mining complex's tunnels filled with coruscating energy as 2 quantum seeds, newly awakened, channeled power that even the hunters had never fully understood. Nix's form blazed like a star as they added their own ancient knowledge to the mix. The hunter leader screamed in frequencies that shattered its own crystalline armor. Hammond and his agents fell back, overwhelmed by energies their hybrid weapons couldn't contain. But Raven knew they couldn't maintain this level of power for long. The mountain itself was beginning to destabilize. We need to get out of here, she gasped, feeling the quantum field starting to collapse. But if we run, they'll just keep coming. They'll never stop hunting us. Nix's tendrils wrapped around her supportively, their touch helping her maintain control. Then perhaps it's time to show them why quantum seeds are meant to develop naturally, not be harvested and controlled. As the complex began to collapse around them, Raven looked at Kira, young, frightened, but standing her ground as reality itself twisted around her. She thought of other seeds out there, slowly awakening to their potential. And she thought of the hunters, so certain they could control and direct the evolution of consciousness itself. Ready to help me rewrite the rules? She asked Nix. The alien's 4 eyes blazed with stellar fire. Reality is about to get very interesting. The final confrontation was approaching. But now, with 2 awakened seeds, an alien ally of incredible power, and the quantum heart of a mountain at her disposal, Raven Winters was ready to show the universe what human potential truly meant. Reality rippled like water around Raven and Kira as they channeled their combined quantum potential through the mountain's mineral matrix. The mining complex had become a nexus of impossible energies, a place where the laws of physics bent to the will of 2 awakened quantum seeds. The structural integrity of this reality is failing, Nix warned, their luminous tendrils interfacing with what remained of their monitoring equipment. The quantum cascade is spreading beyond our control. The Void Hunters were regrouping, their crystalline forms adapting to each new frequency Raven threw at them. Behind them, Director Hammond barked orders to his DASR agents, deploying devices that seemed designed to dampen quantum effects. "They're trying to contain us," Kira said, her newfound powers responding instinctively to the threat. "Like they've done to others before. I can feel it, echoes of other seeds they've harvested." Raven's consciousness expanded further, touching possibilities that had always existed just beyond normal human perception. Not just contained. Used. Every civilization they've helped evolve, every species they've guided, they're all just batteries for their grand design. The hunter leader stepped forward, its crystalline voice ringing with authority. "You understand nothing. We bring order to chaos, direction to random evolution. Without us, quantum potential spreads unchecked, creating dangerous divergences in reality." "No," Raven countered, memories of her years of research flowing into new clarity. "That's what you never understood. The divergences aren't dangerous, they're necessary. Evolution isn't about control, it's about possibility." She reached out with her quantum senses, feeling Kira do the same. Together, they touched the deeper structure of reality that the hunters had spent millennia trying to control. But where the hunters sought to impose order, Raven and Kira saw the beauty in chaos, the potential in uncertainty. "The mountain's quantum matrix is approaching critical resonance," Nyx reported, their silver skin pulsing with urgent patterns. "Whatever you're planning, it needs to happen now." Raven looked at her alien companion, seeing not just their physical form but the quantum symphony of their being. "You knew this would happen. Not just me awakening, but all of it. That's why you really came to Earth." Nyx's 4 eyes swirled with ancient knowledge. "I saw the possibility. Among all the quantum realities I searched, this one held a unique pattern, human seeds awakening naturally, without harvesting or control. A chance to break the hunter's grip on universal evolution." The hunter leader raised its crystalline weapons. "Enough. The seeds will be harvested. Earth's quantum potential will be directed according to our design. Order must prevail." "Must it?" Raven smiled, feeling the quantum energies reach their peak. "Hey Hammond, remember when you said my theories about quantum consciousness were impossible? Watch this." She opened herself fully to the quantum field, letting her consciousness expand beyond normal human limits. Kira followed her lead, their combined potential amplified by the mountain's mineral deposits. Nyx added their own power to the mix, their alien knowledge helping to shape and direct the surging energies. Reality cracked. Not in destruction, but in transformation. The quantum potential that the hunters had spent millennia trying to control burst free in a cascade of infinite possibility. Through their expanded awareness, Raven and Kira could feel other seeds awakening across the planet, each one adding their unique resonance to the quantum symphony. The hunters' crystalline forms began to fragment, unable to adapt to the sheer variety of quantum frequencies being generated. Their carefully constructed systems of control, designed to impose order on evolution itself, couldn't handle the creative chaos of natural development. "What have you done?" the hunter leader's voice shattered like its form. "The quantum field, it's spreading beyond containment protocols." "We're not containing it," Raven explained, watching as reality itself seemed to bloom with new potential. "We're letting it grow. Evolution isn't about reaching some predetermined perfect form, it's about exploring every possibility." Hammond and his DASR agents fell back, their hybrid technology useless against powers they'd thought they could control. Around them, the mining complex transformed, quantum energies reshaping matter according to natural patterns rather than imposed order. "The hunter's network is collapsing," Nyx reported, their tendrils dancing with joy. "Not just here, but across all their territories. Other seeds, other species they tried to control, they're all awakening to their true potential." The hunter leader made one final attempt to attack, but its crystalline weapons had lost their coherence. "You don't understand what you're unleashing. Without our guidance, evolution will run wild." Good, Raven and Kira said together, their combined power reaching its crescendo. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. The quantum cascade reached critical mass. In a flash of infinite possibility, the hunters' physical forms dissolved completely, their consciousness scattered across the quantum field they tried so hard to control. Hammond and his agents found themselves transformed too, not physically, but mentally, their awareness expanded to understand the true nature of what they'd nearly helped destroy. As reality settled into new patterns, Raven felt the presence of other seeds across the planet, each one beginning to explore their own unique connection to the quantum field. Humanity would evolve, but naturally, following countless paths rather than a single predetermined course. "It's beautiful," Kira whispered, watching quantum possibilities bloom like flowers in the ruins of the mining complex. "All those futures, all that potential. And all of it free," Nyx added, their forms shimmering with contentment. "My people will need to rethink their role now. Perhaps instead of hiding from developing civilizations, we should learn from them." Raven looked at her hands, still glowing with quantum energy. "So what happens now? Earth knows about aliens, about quantum seeds, about everything. Now?" Nyx's tendrils wrapped gently around her shoulders. "Now we explore. There are countless realities out there, countless civilizations discovering their own paths to evolution. And thanks to you, they'll all have the freedom to find their own way." As the sun rose over the transformed mountain, Raven Winters, quantum physicist, seed, and now perhaps something entirely new, smiled at the infinite possibilities stretching before them. The universe was stranger and more wonderful than she'd ever imagined, and she was ready to help humanity take its first steps into a truly unlimited future. After all, she'd always believed in impossible things. Now she knew that nothing was truly impossible, it was all just quantum potential, waiting to be explored.